This week I've been driving the 2025 Volkswagen ID Buzz, and there's no getting around it. I've been excited for this one for a while, ever since they announced that this thing was coming. It took them way too long to get it out, and then even longer for them to get me one. But I'm a minivan guy. I've owned several minivans. I have a large family and a need for having a minivan. I've also owned some Volkswagen products over the years. And of course, being a car guy, I'm also like an EV nerd, and kind of all of those worlds collide into this vehicle. So it's not hard to figure out that I like this thing. I was predisposed to liking it. There are a few quirks and things that I wish it had or done different, and we'll get through all of those. So let's stop rambling and get on with the review. I'm Adam, this is TexasGarage. Let's get into it. So for 2025, you get three options when it comes to the ID Buzz. Essentially, you have the first edition, which is kind of like their launch edition for the launch of the ID Buzz. Comes with all the bells and whistles, all the luxuries, but that's the top of the line. Starting out with, you have the Pro S, and that's actually what we have here, which is the base model of this thing, which is rear-wheel drive, not all-wheel drive. To get the all-wheel drive, you move up to the Pro S Plus, and that's going to give you more luxury, that all-wheel drive, and a lot more. We're going to go through all of that throughout this, touch on what this doesn't have that I wish it did, and of course, we'll touch on what trim I'd get. But first, let's dive into the exterior design and see what we have here on this vehicle. And starting off with those looks, look, you're not confusing this with anything else on the road. Volkswagen has nailed the retro vibes, short overhangs, tall greenhouse, the massive VW badge up front. This one's finished in deep black pearl. Most people will gravitate towards the two-tone colors that call back to the old microbus, but honestly, I love the all black. It looks sleek, modern, and still unmistakably buzz. And from what Volkswagen has said, they're actually having trouble selling these solid color ones because everybody wants the two-tone. But again, I like this thing in solid black. Standard here are 20-inch disc style wheels that help with that retro style with the old school hubcaps. We have full LED projector headlights with the light bar connecting the two sides, and the Volkswagen emblem does light up here in the front. That front fascia with the diamond design looks really nice. Along the side of this bus, you see the immense size of this thing. It is large, pretty boxy, which hints at the incredible amount of interior cargo volume you get. You can see the outline of the little square windows that you get in the rear doors. You've got some fake looking vents, I'm guessing help airflow around this thing, and the back panel. All the way around back, you get the full width light strip. Another modern twist on the classic bus design. And of course, that large lift gate, which we're gonna open here in just a second. But let's take a step back really quickly again and just really look at the size of this thing. It sits taller than the Carnival or Sienna, closer in stance to a full-size SUV. Opening up the rear, you'll find 18.6 cubic feet of space behind the third row, which isn't class leading at all, but is a decent amount of space. Fold those seats down though, and you're looking at 75.5 cubic feet. You can actually take out the third row altogether and fold the second row down, and you've got 145.5 cubic feet. That's definitely more than my Carnival, more than an Atlas. Honestly, it's very cavernous. We never had this thing totally packed out, but we did do a grocery run in it. I obviously have my camera gear in here, and we did have it packed with the family plenty of times. Stepping inside the ID Buzz, it really feels like nothing else. Very spacious, very large. We have the blue and brown interior, which is a bit quirky, but works just fine, especially contrasted with the black exterior. If it was another color, it might clash too much, but that's kind of my own thing. There's pockets and cubbies everywhere. There's chargers everywhere, cup holders everywhere. You've got little ID badging everywhere and hidden Volkswagen bus emblems everywhere. Let me pick you up and I'll give you a good look around. All right, where to start with the interior? Not the screen. Let's actually start right here with the power button, which is a little bit useless. It is push button start, but it's actually will start as soon as you sit in the seat and push the brake pedal, and it will turn itself off as soon as you open the door and get out of the driver's seat. This is super convenient, but can also be kind of a pain in the butt, especially if you want to jump out and leave it running. It doesn't do that. And you basically never touch this. It does actually work to turn it off, but looking at those pedals really quickly, they are fun and playful with a pause and play logo on them. Beside the steering wheel on the driver's side, you do have two USB-C charging ports that also interface with the infotainment system. And there's a little cubby here you can throw your phone into. And it's also a wireless charger, which is fun. Back to the screen, everything in here is touch capacitive or touch screen, which I've reviewed a few Volkswagen vehicles recently, and they're all going to this screen with this user interface. And while I like touch screens and I can navigate them well, I've been having issues with Volkswagen's system, especially the touch capacitive buttons. If you are changing something and you kind of rest your hand on here, you are going to touch these and change things. You can both swipe or touch to change things here. To dig into menus, you have to do multiple touches, and if you touch and it goes away and then you try to touch something else, you're end up touching something that you didn't expect to. We do have heated and cooled seats, and those are activated here on the touch screen. The upper trims do get massaging seats, which is fantastic. The interface isn't that bad. You do have a few different menus to go through. You have a full navigation system that's really nice, and we did use through this week. And when you set a destination and you're coming up for a turn, we actually have a light bar that is here, and it will guide you with a strobing LED, showing you which way to turn as the navigation directs you. There's also warning lights that flash up there for different driver attention things. It's a really cool use of having a light bar up there inside the vehicle. Back to the screen, we also do have like Apple CarPlay, Android Auto built in, no issues there. You have all your driver settings. Everything's pretty easy to get to once you figure it all out, but everything's definitely at least a couple of clicks away. We do have drive modes on here, including Eco, Comfort, Sport, and Custom. We'll check a couple of these out while we take it for a drive. Below that, you do have some vents and your hazard lights. Then you've got some buttons to open the side doors or turn off them being able to be opened. This pulls out and is a cup holder, which is great. From here, you can pull out a cubby that's deep and will definitely hide some things. The console has these built-in dividers, and these can be moved. They're also kind of a dual function. So this one, when you pull it out, is a can opener, which is interesting. And this one is an ice scraper, which sounds more useful. They are a bit difficult to line up and get in there. And if you want to, this whole console will just lift out and come off completely. You can see the brown leatherette seats with the ID badge here, perforated, nice contrast stitching, piping, armrests here. You have a large cubby over here with the glove box, and the passenger gets their own USB-C charging port on the passenger door. Looking at the steering wheel, nice large Volkswagen steering wheel. Again, touch capacitive buttons, which aren't the best, but laid out pretty easily. And it does feel cheap as you're hitting some of this, as you do have to it moves the entire thing. Gear stock is over here. You twist it forward for drive, twist it forward again for your regenerative braking, twist it back for reverse. This does have a backup camera. I would love this thing to have a 360 camera, and looking at all the specs from Volkswagen, the higher trim does give you a 360 camera. Would love it to be on this trim as well. This thing is big enough and boxy enough to need one. But then again, you push over here again for park. The driver information display is Not large, kind of small and floaty here, but works well. You can change the view with a button here on your steering wheel, which kind of cycles through a few different things. And you can change the placement of things, make what you want kind of more center stage. And when you move the steering wheel, the display moves with the steering column. So it's always in the optimal position for you to see it best. We don't have any kind of sunroof in this model, but the top trims do get a full panoramic roof. Let's jump in the back seats real quick and check out the rear passenger experience. Really, there's a ton of room here in the third row. I still have at least 6 inches or more from my knees to the second row. The second row can be scooted forward or back. You've got cup holders, USB-C, your own vents back here. Although the kids did say the vents weren't great back here. But even if you had to carry a couple of adults back here, it wouldn't be a big deal. Large area to get in and out. Not the most graceful thing, but you can do it. My only gripe would be that it is a 2-seater in the back, not 3. So this is only a 7-passenger and not an 8-passenger. But let me jump up to the middle row. Yeah, here in the middle row, same story. Plenty of headroom, really a ton of leg room. This is a taller vehicle to get in and out of. From the driver's seat to the rear, that's one thing that minivans are really supposed to be good at, is letting the kids get in and out easily. They're usually lower, but this thing, maybe because the battery's underneath, you got to really step up into it. But once you're inside, you've got a ton of room. These rear seats are heated seats. You've got everything from a grab handle, your own AC and heat controls, a little pocket back here, dual pockets, and your own USB-C charging ports. All really great. All right, with that, let's talk about the charging and powertrain, and then we'll take this thing for a drive. All right, before we hit the road with this thing, let's quickly talk about the powertrain and some charging experiences. Powering the Pro S is a 90 kilowatt hour battery and a single rear mounted motor. It pushes 282 horsepower and 413 pound-feet of torque, which means you don't have a ton of horsepower, but you've got a good amount of torque, and obviously you've got the instant torque. We'll talk more about that as we drive. It is rear-wheel drive only in this trim. If you want all-wheel drive, you've got to move up a trim. And then for the range, you're looking about 234 miles on the EP estimated range, which sounds low because when I charged it up to over 90%, we were getting well over 240 miles. And of course, a lot of EVs try to hit that 300 mile mark, and I think it's a good target to hit, but I still use this multiple days without charging, doing 60 mile, 70 mile round trips, and never really had any kind of range anxiety. If you wanted to do a trip in this thing, you could do it technically. There could be one hurdle, and we'll talk about it right now as we talk about charging this thing. So in my test, I rolled into a Buc-ee's with a newly installed set of Mercedes branded chargers. The first charge I did, I had about 43% battery when I pulled up. It was 8:17 a.m. Went inside, walked around, grabbed a drink, came back out at about 8:26. The car was already at 64%. I sat for a few more minutes, and by 8:41, it was at 89% charged, showing 230 miles of range. That's 46% in 24 minutes. Pretty much bang on with Volkswagen's claims of 10 to 80% in about 26 minutes. I did another charge up right before shooting the video, and we were down closer to the 20% range and went all the way up to 90%. And it was definitely within the 30-minute mark. So you could definitely charge this thing quickly and hit the road again. The only issue is the Mercedes branded chargers at the Buc-ee's close to my house worked flawlessly. One of the best non-Tesla chargers that I've used so far. The issue is on a trip, the network just isn't as reliable as the Tesla chargers. I did a trip from Dallas to Houston in the Equinox EV that had an adapter for the Tesla network. And it really came in handy as it was way more difficult to find good working Electrify America or other branded EV chargers than it was to find the Tesla ones and actually have them work. So while yes, this thing could be a family road trip vehicle with a few top-ups during a 30-minute lunch break, you really got to rely on that network being solid, and that's where I'm a bit iffy, more than the range. All right, let's get this thing out on the road. Behind the wheel, you sit tall with a commanding view through the massive windshield. It really does feel like a bus, but a bus that's smooth, quiet, and surprisingly quick. The instant torque makes this thing way more fun than it has any right to be. It's not a performance van by any means, but it scoots when you really want it to. Maneuvering it is easier than you'd think also. It has a tight turning radius for its size, good visibility. That said, I wish all trims had the 360 camera. I know you get it on the higher trim, but I didn't have it here, just the backup camera, and as big as this thing is, I really wish it had the 360 camera. Parking it isn't hard, but with something this boxy, the extra cameras would really give you that peace of mind. Ride comfort is really solid, not floaty, not harsh. It soaks up bumps well, and the weight of the battery helps it feel planted. We did drive it through some storms this week, and while the wind really pushes on the side of this vehicle, you still feel that plantedness because of the extra weight at the bottom. I never felt like I was going to tip over, but you can definitely feel the wind pushing it. And with that, the road and wind noise are very minimal. This is definitely a comfortable highway cruiser, would be a great road trip car, but definitely carting around the family everywhere that we went was flawless. All right, before we start wrapping this thing up, let's quickly talk about the price and some of the competition, starting off with the price of this thing. So we do have the Pro S trim, which is the base model, and it comes in at $59,995. And while that sounds like a lot for a minivan, for an electric vehicle, a 3-row electric vehicle, that's a fantastic price. With the $1,500 destination charge, the actual MSRP for this one that I'm sitting in is just over $61,000. But again, for everything that you get here, I think that's a really good price. Moving up into the higher trims, you get a much higher price tag, obviously, and then it can become a little less worth it. So as much as there are tech features and things in the higher trim that I would like, if I was buying this for my family, I would stick with the base model and have no gripes about it. So when it comes to competition, if you're looking for the best family hauler for the money, I would really look at the Kia Carnival. The hybrid options are still going to give you good range and good economy, and they're fantastic vehicles with a ton of room. If you're looking for a 3-row electric vehicle for the family, you only have a few options on the market right now. Most notably the IONIQ 9, which I drove recently and was a fantastic car, but its price tag is from like $80,000 to $100,000. You have the Kia EV9, which is the cousin to that, which is a little bit cheaper, but still very pricey. You have some others like the Tesla Model X, which is not as spacious as this at all. You have the Rivian 3-row, but that's also pricey and more rugged. So really, if I was buying an EV for the family, this would be on my top consideration. The only thing that would make me hesitate on that is the charging ports and not access to Tesla chargers. If you were going to do road trips, so much easier with Tesla access. And that's something that the IONIQ 9 gave us when we drove that. And that's fantastic. But you're definitely paying a premium for that vehicle. With that, let's jump out. I'll give you my final thoughts on everything and we'll wrap this video up. All right, so bottom line, should be no surprise, I love the thing. It does exactly what a minivan should do. It hauls a lot of people. It's comfortable to drive. You can throw cargo in there easily. And although there are things that I would like changed or even are offered on the higher trims that I would want in my personal vehicle, I think this thing hits the mark and the price is really great for what you're getting. I've heard and seen people compare the price of this thing to the price of other minivans, the hybrid or gas ones. And That's really not fair, obviously. Most electric vehicles aren't compared to their gas counterparts in price. If you're comparing this thing in price to other electric 3-row crossovers, because there are no other electric minivans on the market really right now, then it starts making more sense. If you are looking for a family vehicle to haul your family that's big, there's not much that can beat this. With that, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the ID Buzz, especially this one, the base model. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. We do a different review every week. Lots of great content, lots of EVs on here, lots of minivans or family vehicles. Really worth checking out the channel. Also check out TXGARAGE.com, where I've got a lot of written reviews from a lot of great authors over there, not just myself. TXGARAGE.com, great place to check out. With that, that's all I got for this one. Thanks for watching.